They call it a wheelchair, I call it a throne. These powerful words by Muniba Mazari remind us that true strength doesn't come from standing tall, but from rising strong even when life brings us to our knees. Life brings us to our knees. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Today, I want to take you on a journey beyond the wheelchair, beyond limitations, beyond what society labels as disability. This is a journey of redefining ability, of rediscovering identity, and of embracing a truth that Muniba Mazari lives and breathes. You are not disabled by your body, you are only limited by your mindset. So let's rise above the stereotypes. Let's challenge the norms. Let's begin to see not just what a person can do, but the fire, the courage, and the purpose in what they can do. Disability is not a limitation, it's a different kind of strength. This is a truth that many fail to see because society often defines strength through physical ability or external achievements. But when we look deeper, true strength is often found in those who have faced unimaginable challenges and still choose to rise, to inspire, and to live fully. Muniba Mazari is one such person who exemplifies this inner strength. After a tragic car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down, many thought her story was over. But in reality, it was just beginning. Her wheelchair did not confine her. It became a symbol of her unshakable resolve and her new beginning. Society tends to attach stigma to disability. People are often looked at through the lens of what they can do rather than what they can. When someone is in a wheelchair or has a visible disability, they are often met with pity, curiosity, or even discomfort. These reactions are not reflections of the person with a disability, but rather of a society that has yet to fully understand what ability truly means. Ability isn't just about walking, running, or lifting heavy things. It's about thinking, feeling, creating, and connecting. It's about using whatever tools life gives us, whether that's 2 legs or a wheelchair, to live with purpose and passion. What Muniba Mazari teaches us is that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes strength is a quiet but unwavering determination to live fully, to dream unapologetically, and to inspire others by simply being yourself. After her accident, Muniba could have chosen to hide away, to let the pain and trauma define her. Instead, she chose to redefine her life and her identity. She became an artist, a motivational speaker, a model, and a national ambassador for UN Women Pakistan. She did all of this not despite her wheelchair, but with it. Her strength came not from denial of her circumstances, but from embracing them and transforming them into something meaningful. When we think about disability through this lens, we begin to understand that it is not about what someone lacks, but about what they bring to the world in their unique way. A person who cannot walk may still be able to move hearts. A person who cannot see may still be able to envision a better world. A person who cannot speak may still be able to communicate profound truths through art, music, or silence. The strength of a person with a disability often lies in their ability to adapt, to persevere, and to rise above the very barriers that others assume will hold them back. This kind of strength is forged through pain, struggle, and courage. It comes from falling down and choosing to get back up, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, even if not physically. People with disabilities often face more than just physical challenges. They navigate social exclusion, lack of accessibility, and limited opportunities. And yet many still choose to live with joy, with purpose, and with hope. That is strength in its purest form. Muniba often says, "You are the hero of your own life story." These words remind us that strength isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. It's about owning your story, your struggles, and your scars, and turning them into a message of resilience. A person in a wheelchair isn't defined by their inability to walk. They are defined by their ability to move forward despite it. And that is something profoundly powerful. When we begin to see disability as a different kind of strength, we also begin to challenge the narrative that surrounds it. We stop asking what happened to you and start asking what drives you. We stop seeing people through the lens of sympathy and start seeing them through the lens of admiration. I begin to understand that limitations are often illusions created by fear and unfamiliarity. Once we break through those illusions, we start to see the beauty of human diversity and the limitless ways people can express strength, talent, and resilience. In many ways, people with disabilities teach the rest of us what true strength really looks like. It's not about having control over every part of your life. It's about learning to thrive even when everything feels out of control. It's about turning pain into purpose, silence into voice, and stillness into motion. The journey may look different, the path may be harder, but the strength it takes to keep going, that's something that deserves not just respect, celebration. True identity is shaped by resilience, not circumstances. In a world that constantly tries to define people by their physical appearance, social status, or the situations they face, it becomes even more important to remember that who we are is not determined by what happens to us, but by how we respond to it. This is especially true for individuals living with disabilities. Muniba Mazari's story stands as a powerful reminder that our identity is not confined to our bodies, our setbacks, or our struggles. It is revealed through our courage, our determination, and our unbreakable spirit. After her accident, Muniba found herself in a situation that could have easily broken her. She was confined to a hospital bed, dealing with excruciating pain, multiple surgeries, and the devastating news that she would never walk again. Her circumstances had changed dramatically, but what remained was her inner fire. At first, like anyone would, she struggled to make sense of her new reality. But over time, she began to realize that her identity was not rooted in her ability to walk, dance, or move freely. It was rooted in her passion, her dreams, and her voice. This realization became a turning point. Muniba started to redefine who she was, not based on what the world saw, but based on who she knew herself to be. She embraced art, a form of expression that allowed her to channel her emotions, her pain, and her hope. Through painting, she told her story, not in words, but in color and emotion. That journey of self-expression helped her reconnect with a sense of purpose. Her identity became less about the wheelchair she sat in and more about the impact she could make, the lives she could touch, and the strength she could share. Often, people allow circumstances to overshadow their true selves. A failure, a loss, a disability, these moments can shake us, sometimes even cause us to question our worth. But resilience has a way of restoring that sense of self. Resilience is not about ignoring the pain or pretending everything is okay. It's about facing the storm and still choosing to move forward, even if it's one small step at a time. It's in those moments of quiet perseverance that true identity is forged. The world may place labels on people with disabilities. It may try to tell them what they can or cannot be, but identity is not something others define for you. It is something you discover within yourself. Muniba did not let her circumstances dictate the narrative of her life. Instead, she wrote her own story. One of courage, grace, and transformation. She stepped into the spotlight, not to prove her worth to the world, but to inspire others to see their own. What makes a person who they are is not the challenges they face, but the meaning they choose to create from those challenges. Resilience allows us to find strength in vulnerability, to embrace imperfections, and to rise each time we fall. That is where identity begins to take shape, not in perfection, but in perseverance, not in ease, but in endurance, and not in what life gives us, but in what we choose to give back. Identity also grows through the choices we make. When we choose to be kind in the face of cruelty, hopeful in the face of despair, and strong in the face of fear, we are shaping our character. Muniba chose to become a symbol of hope and strength. She used her voice to advocate for others who felt invisible or unheard. She turned her pain into power and her story into a message that continues to inspire people across the world. That choice, stand tall in spirit, even when her body could not, defined who she was far more than her accident ever could. People often search for their identity in the approval of others, in achievements, or in physical abilities. But real identity is internal. It's rooted in values, in beliefs, and in how we treat ourselves and others. When everything else is stripped away, it is our resilience, our ability to keep going, to keep believing, and to keep dreaming that reveals our truest self. Resilience doesn't just help us survive, it helps us grow. It helps us uncover parts of ourselves we never knew existed. Strength we didn't know we had, compassion we didn't know we could give. and a purpose we didn't know we could serve. That is why identity built on resilience is unshakable. It can weather the storms of life not because it is immune to pain, but because it has learned how to rise from it again and again. Redefining ability starts with changing perceptions, not people. In a world where disability is often associated with weakness, incapacity, and limitation, the journey toward redefining what it means to be able begins with altering how we view people who live with disabilities. It's not the person who needs to change, it's our perception of what ability truly is that requires transformation. This shift in perspective is essential not only for individuals with disabilities, but for society as a whole. It is a journey that challenges us to see beyond physical appearances, to recognize the potential in everyone, and to embrace a more inclusive and empowering definition of ability. When we view ability through a traditional lens, we often limit it to what we can see: physical feats, speed, agility, strength. We admire athletes who break records, dancers who defy gravity, and performers who captivate audiences with their skill. However, this narrow understanding of ability leaves out the immense capabilities that lie within those who might not be able to perform those same physical acts. The true nature of ability is not confined to what is visible or tangible. Ability is about the mind's capacity to dream, the heart's capacity to feel, and the spirit's capacity to overcome challenges. It is in the act of creation, expression, and perseverance that ability reveals itself in its fullest form. Muniba Mazari's journey exemplifies this shift in perception. When she was paralyzed from the waist down, society could have easily defined her by her disability. Yet she chose to redefine what it meant to be able. Muniba didn't allow her circumstances to confine her abilities. Instead, she focused on what she could do. She painted beautiful works of art, became a public speaker, a role model, and a symbol of hope. Her wheelchair, once seen by many as a symbol of limitation, became a tool of empowerment. Through her art, her advocacy, and her resilience, Muniba proved that ability is not defined by mobility. It is defined by the impact you make and the person you choose to become in the face of adversity. The need to change our perception of ability extends beyond individuals with disabilities. It applies to everyone. Society often upholds a very narrow, one-dimensional view of success and potential. We are conditioned to admire certain traits, strengths, speed, outward appearances as indicators of success. However, we often overlook qualities like emotional intelligence, resilience, creativity, and empathy, all of which are crucial components of true ability. When we shift our focus to include these attributes, we begin to see that ability is not about meeting societal expectations, but about being true to oneself and contributing to the world in meaningful ways. By changing our perceptions of ability, we also change the way we interact with others. When we stop viewing people through the lens of what they cannot do, we begin to appreciate what they can offer. This change in perspective opens up new possibilities for collaboration, understanding, and growth. People with disabilities have often been underestimated, marginalized, or excluded from opportunities because of preconceived notions about their limitations. But when society begins to embrace a broader understanding of ability, we create a space where everyone can thrive, where the focus shifts from disability to potential. Redefining ability also involves recognizing the tools, adaptations, and support systems that allow individuals to overcome challenges. In the past, the emphasis has often been on what a person lacks, whether it's the ability to walk, to hear, or to see. But what if we shifted the narrative? What if we focus instead on what can be done with the right resources and mindset? Technology, adaptive devices, and societal support systems have transformed the lives of people with disabilities, allowing them to participate more fully in society. But despite these advancements, the perception that people with disabilities are less able still persists. By changing our perceptions and celebrating the ingenuity and adaptability people with disabilities demonstrate, we begin to see that ability isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. Moreover, redefining ability also challenges us to reconsider the very nature of success and fulfillment. Society often equates success with external achievements, such as career milestones, financial success, or physical prowess. These metrics of success are not the only measures of a person's worth. Fulfillment comes from pursuing passions, building meaningful relationships, and contributing to the greater good. It comes from overcoming adversity, from growing through challenges, and from living authentically. When we redefine ability in these terms, we open up a whole new world of possibilities for what it means to live a full, rich life. The process of redefining ability is a collective effort. It requires individuals, communities, and societies to question long-held beliefs and embrace diversity in all its forms. It requires us to be more inclusive, to listen more deeply, and to act with greater compassion and understanding. We must ask ourselves why we have allowed certain abilities to define success and why we continue to judge others based on these standards. It's not about changing who people are, it's about changing how we see them, how we appreciate them, and how we support them in realizing their fullest potential. As we begin to see ability for what it truly is, we move closer to creating a world where everyone can live without fear of judgment, exclusion, or limitation. A world where we recognize that our differences are what make us strong, and that everyone, regardless of ability, has something valuable to offer. This shift in perception is not just about those who live with disabilities, it is about all of us. When we embrace this new understanding of ability, we unlock the potential in each person, allowing them to define their own path, to shape their own identity, and to contribute to society in ways that matter.